told it. I told them about those creatures and how they could destroy a world.
The Outer Limits ran for less than 2 years, lost its ratings war, and got canceled, then quietly went on to shape Star Trek, The X-Files, and even The Terminator. But did you know a court actually ruled that James Cameron lifted 2 of its episodes? Or that the crew who built its monsters went on to build the Starship Enterprise? 17 facts, starting with the lawsuit Cameron lost. 17. 2 episodes were ruled to have been ripped off by the Terminator Watch, the Season 2 opener Soldier. A super-conditioned killing machine from a future war gets hurled back in time and lands in a normal 1960s American household. Sound familiar? It should. Both Soldier and another episode, Demon with a Glass Hand, were written by legendary sci-fi author Harlan Ellison. And when The Terminator came out in 1984, Ellison sued, claiming James Cameron had lifted his ideas. Here's the part that matters. He won. The producers settled out of court, and to this day, if you watch the credits of The Terminator, you'll find an acknowledgement of the works of Harlan Ellison, added as part of that settlement. Cameron was furious. He'd been told that if he didn't agree, he'd personally pay any damages if the studio lost. So he caved and later called Ellison, with a gag order lifted, a parasite who can kiss my ass. One of the most iconic films of the 1980s carries, in its credits, the fingerprint of a 1963 TV anthology, because a court agreed the show got there first. 16. The alien helmet from Episode 1 ended up on Robin Williams in Mork and Mindy Watch the Soldier's gear in Soldier. Specifically, the helmet worn by Quarlo, the time-tossed warrior. Now here's a detail that connects 2 completely different eras of TV. That exact helmet was reused years later on Mork and Mindy, worn by Robin Williams as the alien Mork. The Outer Limits props didn't just vanish into a warehouse. They got recycled across decades of television. And one of the most famous alien costumes of the 1970s started life on a grim 1963 sci-fi anthology. And it's not the only hidden logo in that episode. Look at the device on the enemy soldier's wrist. That R symbol would later be adopted as the logo for Radio Shack. 15. The show opens by literally faking a broken TV, and it terrified people. Think about the most famous opening in television history. The picture wobbles, a test pattern appears, and a voice intones, "There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission." Here's what makes it genius. In 1963, that actually worked as a scare. Audiences genuinely reached for their sets, momentarily convinced something had gone wrong with their own television before realizing the show had hijacked it. The control voice, performed by voice specialist Vic Perrin, was doing something no show had dared, breaking the wall between the broadcast and your living room, making the horror start in your own home before a single monster appeared. The threat wasn't on TV. The threat was your TV. 14. The show was almost called Please Stand By, until the Cuban Missile Crisis killed it. The series nearly launched under a completely different name, Please Stand By. But watch the timing. The show was going into production less than a year after the Cuban Missile Crisis. The terrifying 1962 standoff, when America genuinely believed nuclear war with the Soviets might begin at any moment. Network executives realized that opening a program with the words, "Please stand by," the exact phrase associated with emergency broadcasts and air raid warnings, might make a jittery nation think an actual nuclear attack was underway. They scrapped the title to avoid triggering real panic. Decades later, the 1990s revival slipped the phrase back in as a wink. Its control voice said, "Please stand by," going into commercials. A quiet tribute to the name Cold War fear took away. 13. Every episode was required to have a bear, a monster on a beach. Here's the secret rule that shaped the whole first season. Producer Joseph Stefano, who'd written Hitchcock's Psycho, believed every single episode needed a monster to hook viewers, and he had a nickname for it, the Bear. His philosophy, in his own words, was the bear on the beach. You open with a bear on a beach, then spend the episode explaining how the bear got there. Watch season 1 and you'll spot it every time. There's always a creature, a mutant, an alien, because it was literally mandatory. When Stefano left before season 2, the bear rule was dropped. The show pivoted to cerebral, hard science fiction. And, tellingly, many fans think it lost some of its primal magic. The monsters weren't decoration. They were policy. 12. The man who wrote Psycho ran the show and shot episodes in his own house. You can feel a Hitchcock influence in The Outer Limits' shadowy dread, and there's a direct reason. The show's guiding producer, Joseph Stefano, was the screenwriter of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, one of the most important horror films ever made. He brought that same sense of intimate, psychological terror to television. And here's the pointable detail. The production was so scrappy and personal that many scenes, and some entire episodes, were filmed at Stefano's own house, a place called Villa di Stefano. The company even took its name from his home. So some of the eerie interiors you're watching aren't studio sets at all. They're the writer of Psycho's actual living room, pressed into service for a weekly monster show. 11. Watch for a young William Shatner working on Project Vulcan long before he commanded the Enterprise. William Shatner starred in an Outer Limits episode called Cold Hands, Warm Heart, playing an astronaut. And here's the detail that'll make Star Trek fans grin. In the episode, Shatner's character is working on something called Project Vulcan. 2 years before Star Trek premiered, he's not the only future Trek icon hiding here either. Leonard Nimoy appears in 2 episodes. James Scotty Doohan turns up in another. Grace Lee Whitney, Yeoman Rand, is in one too. The Outer Limits was quietly a Star Trek cast reunion held before Star Trek existed. 10. The show is secretly the reason Star Trek looks the way it does. That overlap isn't a coincidence. It goes much deeper than guest actors. Gene Roddenberry was often hanging around the Outer Limits studios, watching how the show pulled off convincing aliens and effects on a brutal TV budget and schedule. When he built Star Trek, he raided the Outer Limits crew. He hired Robert Justman, who became Star Trek's crucial associate producer, and Hua Chang, the brilliant designer who went on to create iconic Trek props and creatures like the tricorder, the communicator, and the Gorn. So the look and feel of Star Trek, one of the most influential shows in history, was built in large part by the people who first figured it out on the Outer Limits. Even Michael Ansara, the soldier from Ellison's episode, went on to play the Klingon Kang. 9. The Zanti Misfits was named one of the best TV episodes ever, and its Ants 1 episode towers above the rest in reputation. The Zanti Misfits, about a race of alien insect creatures, criminal exiles sent to Earth with unsettling ant-like bodies bearing tiny human faces, was cited by TV Guide in 1997 as one of the best television episodes of all time. Watch it, and you'll see why it stuck. The Zanti are genuinely disturbing, a swarm of stop-motion insects that crawl and skitter with human expressions, an image far ahead of what 1963 television usually attempted. The episode's real subject is human xenophobia. The Zanti were exiled precisely because their own society couldn't tolerate misfits, and humanity's violent panic proves the point. A Monster of the Week show smuggled in a genuine parable about how we treat the different. 8. The budget cuts are visible on screen. The monsters got cheaper as it aired. Here's something you can literally watch happen across the series. Early episodes feature intricate, carefully designed creatures. The show's whole reputation rested on its ambitious weekly monsters. But as ratings slipped and the network slashed budgets, watch the creatures get cheaper. The elaborate, thoughtfully built aliens give way to crude puppets and simpler masks. The show's greatest selling point, those astonishing monsters made on a TV schedule, was slowly strangled by cost-cutting in real time. You're watching a production's financial decline play out in latex and rubber, episode by episode, until the creativity that defined it couldn't survive the accounting. Quick adjustment of the vertical. If this deep dive is earning it, hit like and subscribe, because we go inside a classic every week. Now, back to transmission. Starting with the future Oscar winner who wrote for the show. 7. A future Oscar-winning writer of Chinatown wrote a monster episode. Look at the writing credit on the Season 1 episode, The Chameleon. It belongs to Robert Towne. If that name doesn't ring a bell, it should. Towne would go on to become one of the most celebrated screenwriters in Hollywood history, winning the Academy Award for writing Chinatown and shaping films like The Godfather and Shampoo. But here, early in his career, he was writing a Monster of the Week episode for a struggling sci-fi anthology. It's a reminder of the astonishing talent the show attracted before anyone knew who they were. A future master of the American screenplay, cutting his teeth on aliens and creatures for weekly television. 6. One episode was a rejected pilot Stefano smuggled in as an episode. Watch the first season finale, The Forms of Things Unknown, a strange, gothic, almost European-feeling hour that looks unlike anything else in the series. Here's why. It wasn't really meant to be an Outer Limits episode at all. Joseph Stefano shot it as a pilot for a separate would-be series, a thriller sometimes called The Unknown, and pitched it to the network. When they rejected the new show, Stefano didn't waste the footage. He simply slipped it into the Outer Limits as an episode. So 1 hour of the series is a ghost of a show that never existed, a failed pilot hiding in plain sight, which is why it feels so tonally different from everything around it. 5. It fought a losing war against the Twilight Zone, and scheduling killed it. The Outer Limits and the Twilight Zone are forever linked as the twin titans of 60s sci-fi anthology TV, and they overlapped directly. Both were on the air during Twilight Zone's final season. But here's the pointable reason. The Outer Limits died young. Scheduling. The network moved it from its Monday slot to Saturday nights for Season 2, dropping it directly opposite Jackie Gleason's enormously popular show. Against that competition, the ratings cratered. The Outer Limits was canceled after just a season and a half, 49 episodes, while its rival became the more remembered name. It wasn't the quality that killed it. It was a time slot, and a variety show juggernaut it never had a chance against. 4. One 1963 episode predicted the total surveillance state. Watch the episode OBIT. It's staged as a tense courtroom drama, and at its center is a machine. OBIT is a surveillance computer that can monitor any person, anywhere, at any time, stripping away all privacy. And the installation using it has become a nest of paranoia. Everyone watching everyone. No secret safe. Here's the reveal that lands harder every year. The machine was planted by hostile aliens who figured out that the fastest way to destroy humanity wasn't invasion. It was giving us a tool to spy on each other until trust collapsed. In 1963, decades before smartphones, data harvesting, and mass surveillance, the show looked at a camera that sees everything and understood exactly what it would do to us. A character's closing line, that the machine is a nightmare handed to us that we can't stop watching, reads today less like science fiction than prophecy. 3. Hollywood keeps trying to turn single episodes into movies. Here's proof of how deep these 49 episodes reached into the culture. Individual Outer Limits episodes have repeatedly been eyed as feature films decades later. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has said that before Warner Brothers offered him Superman Lives, they pitched him a remake of the Outer Limits episode, The Architects of Fear. And in 2014, it was revealed that a film version of Demon with a Glass Hand, the Harlan Ellison episode, was in development with director Scott Derrickson, who'd go on to make Doctor Strange. Single hours of a canceled 1960s TV show still have enough power that major studios keep trying to build movies from them half a century later. 2. A future TV superstar became the man of the future with a giant brain watch. The Season 1 episode, The Sixth Finger, and one image will stick with you forever. A young David McCallum, years before he was a star on The Man from UNCLE, playing a Welsh coal miner whose evolution is artificially accelerated thousands of years in seconds. As he evolves, his skull swells into an enormous bulging cranium, and he grows a sixth finger, becoming a cold, super-intelligent man of the future. The makeup, that towering domed forehead, became one of the most iconic and imitated images in all of science fiction. The highly evolved human equals giant brain visual you've seen parodied everywhere essentially starts here. And there's a bitter irony baked into the story. The scientist accelerating evolution does it out of guilt for having helped build the atomic bomb, hoping a smarter humanity won't destroy itself. The man of the future turns out to be more dangerous, not less. 1. The show that out-imagined its era, and everything after borrowed from it. Step back, and The Outer Limits' real legacy comes into focus. It ran for less than 2 years and lost its ratings war. But its fingerprints are everywhere. The X-Files, Black Mirror, and every anthology that traps you in a single, unsettling idea for an hour descend directly from it. Its willingness to be genuinely dark, philosophical, and strange, to end on despair, to make the monster a mirror for human cruelty, pushed television somewhere it hadn't gone. And its cast-off talent quite literally built Star Trek. For a show remembered by casual fans as the one with the rubber monsters, it turned out to be one of the most quietly consequential things ever broadcast. A scrappy, doomed anthology that shaped the next 60 years of science fiction, one impossible idea at a time. Those were 15 facts most fans have never heard about The Outer Limits. Which one got you? The Terminator lawsuit or the helmet that became Mork? Transmit your answer to the comments. If this earned it, hit like, subscribe, and send it to the friend who still hears. There is nothing wrong with your television set in their head. Until next time, we now return control of your television set to you.